Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I'm not even going to do introductions tonight. I'm going to go straight to you, Deka. Say those words.
We won, you know. Get in.
Back-to-back wins for Brucey's Mags. I like you, man. Hey, lads, how's everybody doing?
Spot on.
Good, thank you. Very good.
Smashing.
Well, that was very polite, Deka.
Oh, I tell you, so positive tonight. Polite. It's going to be a great night.
And we were nearly on time.
He's all professional because he's been doing training today, so he's used to speaking to like loads of people. Not that he's mentioned.
Mark's still a wanker. Like nothing's changed there. But...
So Daryl said check out Kris with his posh mic. Yeah, so I'm not sure if everybody can hear us, but
Oh yeah,
Pardon?
We're trying some new equipment out. So if this works and the sound's all right tonight, this is what the members is getting. So the members aren't getting this. The members are getting us this.
Get one. Jesus.
Getting the mic, is it?
So this is what the members are buying us. This is where your money's going, to this sort of equipment. Yous aren't getting one. I'm going to put that out there now. Nobody's getting one of these apart from these three lads.
Oh man, look, they've all unsubscribed now. The microphone.
So how many Joes do you think we're going to get tonight? How many Joes?
Oh, hello, Joe.
It does look good though. It sounds good as well. So happy days.
Good. So we'll see how it goes before it falls over, because something always falls over and I'm recording. Right, so lads,
when we used to get together in the real world, aren't they? Where we used to have proper microphones and that.
Yeah, we did. We used to have proper microphones, but you forgot to plug in all the time, mate. But we're not talking about this one tonight. We'll not talk about this.
That never happened.
Not talk about that. Yeah, so first of all, thanks to Jody Gifts for sponsoring the podcast, as always. Sponsor for this season. Their store in Granger Market is back open. They've got stores on the Quayside Market, which is back open. And obviously, they've got the website, jodygifts.co.uk. So go and check them out. But straight to business from our side. Obviously, training ground opened last week. Going into a game with, 2-3 days training. And I've got no idea, but we've got the win. We've got the victory. Makeshift team, I would say, especially at the back. I'll start with you, Deka. Hayden came in at centre-back. He's played there before for ourselves. We've done it a couple of times this season. But for somebody who's been riddled with COVID, spending, 11 days in bed, he said? Man of the match performance.
I totally agree, yes. I thought, I don't think you can give him enough compliments, to be honest with you, based on that afternoon's performance. I mean, you think of what he's been through, getting COVID, being in bed for 10, 11 days, hardly having any training time, then to be asked to play out of position. I mean, what more can you ask for? His performance was phenomenal for me, phenomenal.
Yeah. What about you, Besty? Any thoughts to add to that one?
The same. I tweeted it on Saturday night. I didn't notice he was playing. He didn't stick out. When you got I remember playing Norwich away with 4 fullbacks. The back would go be 4-2. It was when Poddy was manager, and it was, you could tell that they just didn't know what they were doing basically at the back. Hayden didn't have that at all. He just didn't. Whenever he got the ball, he looked good on it. Didn't catch him out of position at all. You didn't notice he was out of position. You could have told me if I didn't know who he was, or he's a new centre half, and I'd have gone aye, fair enough, looks alright him.
Yeah. Mark, he was alongside Kieran Clark making his return to the team there. Another performance, probably our most underrated centre back, Kieran Clark. Another great performance by him. Somebody who goes under the radar every single time he plays for it.
Yeah, they didn't really look in trouble at any time, did they? And they just went about the business, and like Bessie just said there, you didn't think there was anything unusual about that pairing at the back. They just looked like they'd play there the whole career, and they played together the whole time. It just looked natural, and it worked. It came to something where West Brom had to change their strikers to try and actually get into the game because they were doing so well, marshalling them. So very, very impressive from the pair of them.
Yeah, so there are 2 defenders, our wing backs there. You had Lewis on the left hand side, and you had Emil Kraft came back in. So Matty, who does the starting 11 predictions for us on a weekly basis, he actually predicted that Kraft would come back in to the team there. And I'm not sure your thoughts on them. Obviously, we'll go into a little bit more detail, but is Kraft in there because of the current situation, and because obviously players isolating, players coming back from injury? Is that why he's in the team? Because he hasn't put his name in light, has he?
For me, yes. I mean, Manquillo played against Palace, didn't he? And to be fair, Manquillo seems to be the one Bruce favours, probably rightfully so as well. But I think you have to remember, obviously, maybe he was one of the players that had COVID, obviously, or certainly was suffering through it. And I also say that there's a lot of games, I think, this season. I know, I appreciate, obviously, we have had time off because of the game that got cancelled. But there's a lot of games coming thick and fast, and I just feel you have to use your squad in certain games. And you know, he's there, he's a squad player, and he's going to get his chance. I would personally rather have Manquillo on the field, but I can understand why Bruce may have opted with Kraft for this particular game.
Yeah, well, later on the game, we saw Yedlin as well, someone we haven't seen since the very start of the season. Yedlin came on the pitch. So he had the choice of him as well, who has to really, like I said, he hasn't really featured. So match fitness-wise, it's not going to be up there, Besty. But were you happy to see Yedlin back in there?
I mean, I like Yedlin. I don't think he's brilliant. Like, don't get us wrong. I don't think he's kind of... I think I would agree with Deka that Manquillo probably is, or should be, first choice based on his performances over the past couple of years. But
far how he's came, mate. So far how he's came, because his first season we hated the kid.
Aye, but I mean that's how it can go sometimes. I mean, you look at Gary Speed when he first signed wasn't universally popular. And by the time he left, he was a hero. You know, it's kind of. I'm not saying that Manquillo's going to have that kind of trajectory, but he's certainly played his way into kind of people's good books. If you want to say that, James Perch did it to a kind of lesser extent, I suppose you'd say. But yeah, Yedlin's someone who, I mean, I think his pace gets him out of a lot of trouble. But I just remember like his debut away at Derby when he scored like the 2-0 win, I think it was, and he was just part of that kind of the team. The club seemed to have a really, really good kind of bunch of lads when they came up and for a couple. And Yedlin for me was a big part of that. You got Simba the dog giving a 6 out on Instagram and stuff like that. Like, and he just seems like someone who's like just happy to be here now. I mean, he wouldn't be my first 11, but I've got a soft spot for him, definitely.
No, he's going on.
I love him. His dog's amazing. Everything. He wouldn't be my first 11. Like
I can skateboard.
I'm allergic to dogs as well. Like, so for me to give someone with a dog a bit pretty, I mean, his house will stink. That's just how it works with dogs. But like, you know, but yeah, Yedlin's okay by me. Like,
his house will stink. Sorry for any dog lovers out there. Apart from a certain somebody, we're not saying sorry to you. That side of the pitch, Jamal Lewis is there. Mark didn't have the greatest of games.
He didn't, unfortunately. I think it just, players have it, don't they? Where they just don't have a very good game occasionally, and it just didn't go well for him. And I think, obviously, jumping ahead somewhat, the goal came from a little bit of lackadaisical behaviour from him, but it's to see some of the abuse that he's been getting on social media as a result of his performance at the weekend is absolutely ridiculous. What you've got to remember is he's a very, very young player. He's came in from Norwich into a big club in us, and we should be nurturing them and wanting them to do well, not trying to beat them down at the first sign of a poor game.
Yeah. So working my way up the field there, centre midfield, you had Longstaff and Shelby in there. Longstaff, he must have suffered with COVID. He certainly looked like he was blown out of his arse from the very first whistle.
He must have had COVID all season then, has he?
I can see Deka's itching to go with that one, shaking his head. So Deka, what's your thoughts on Longstaff's not ability, what performance?
Yeah, I said I was going to be positive, right? So I don't want to knock people too much tonight, but
I know before we start recording this, right? So just to let everybody know, Deka said he's going to be really positive tonight, and that we're all going to be surprised at how positive he is. And he's right now he's on the brink of not being positive. It's the first thing he said.
We're 9 minutes in and I'm about to break it. No, the game totally passed him by, man. Like, I don't really know what he does in midfield. I don't get it. Like, he's not really particularly tackling anybody. Doesn't really beat a man. I wouldn't necessarily say he's creating much for her. I just don't get what it is that he's doing. And I just submit that I know is, and I'm not. This isn't Sean Longstaff's fault, but the rumours of them getting with this new agent he's called Mr. Fix-It or whatever it was, and you can get him a big deal somewhere else. I'm thinking, well, fix the guy's performances first before you talk about money. Like for me, he just hasn't been the same player for a long time. And don't get us wrong. The reason why I wanted to try and be positive is because all of the players have suffered with the training ground not being open. So I don't want to, give too much. But I just feel again it was the same poor performance from him again for me.
It's weird because it's all the same comments that you're saying there around can't pass, can't tackle. We say that every week about a different midfielder. So it's like it's not just one particular player. It's everybody that's in midfield is having the same types of performances and being bypassed, unable to put a foot in, unable to pass the ball around them. It's.
Well, I think we've said this for a long time, though, Besty. That centre midfielder is something which needs a massive upgrade. Not just one player, but probably you're looking at 2 players to bring in there to give it a huge revamp.
I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, Shelby coming back of late's been. Shelby's one of those players who, it's the cliche of someone who gets better when they're not playing. I think we've might mention this last couple of weeks, but at the same time, he has made a difference. I think, particularly on Saturday. Longstaff, I'm sure I saw a stat on him, like a kind of, how Sky do this thing with these reams of kind of stats about whatever they've been up to and stuff. And he was like,
stats on the pull out the arse.
It was like this one was like he was top for pressures, top for passing, second for this, and just on the face of it, you look at that and think, God, that's exactly what like Jeff Hendrick isn't doing.
Besty, can you describe to me or explain to me what a pressures is?
What? No. No, but
is it
chasing the ball?
Yeah, it must be pressing the opposition, mustn't it?
I'm assuming it's closing someone down, so they've got to either try and beat you or pass the ball or getting within or jockeying. He's been pressing L2 loads and he's jockeying now, and he's. But I like you see these stuff and these things in isolation and think, oh God, maybe I've missed something. I certainly do. Yeah. Because I was pretty nonplussed by a Longstaff performance on Saturday myself, but I saw this and thought, maybe I've just been like,
Marty, at last.
Marty's figured out technology this week. Last week he pretended that he couldn't subscribe, become a member of the channel. So I think it's all the Metro chat last night has made Marty sub. But I just want to say thanks to I think it was Jack. I think Adam might correct us on this one, but
yes,
I think it was Jack.
Jack's just popped up there.
Oh yeah, there we go. So Jack Booth, thanks for becoming a member. It means a lot. So maybe next week, Besty might have one of these microphones. We'll just work our way around.
Kris.
Just share it.
It's funny because I was just thinking there when Besty said he's been pressing L2 too much. I was thinking Marty's not going to have a clue what we're talking about here, and then that popped up.
But thanks both of you.
The Longstaff thing, I don't know if there's something I've missed. Like I said about Hendrick when I thought, maybe I've because I've got a tendency when I'm watching a game just to follow the ball and not really. I don't know much about tactics. I'm not like I've kind of hold my hands up there. Like I'm not.
Well, we know this pretty well, mate.
But like if Newcastle they've got the ball and they're scoring more goals than their team, generally speaking, I'm pretty happy.
Besty, I'm going to stop you there. Look at Ewan signed up. Look at that shot. Look at his photo.
Is that the mini milk? It is, isn't it?
It's Ewan the mini milk, mate. Aye. Amazing.
Nice one, Ewan.
Well done, Ewan.
Thanks very much, mate. I love how I like that. Absolutely love it.
God, that's kind of follows round in it.
You're never getting rid of that ever.
If I get to be 60, like when they they do the photocopies and printouts of daft pictures, I'm having. That's a good thing I'm already married. Like Christ.
Right, so when you die, it'll be on the front of your little book that you go when you go to church. It'll be that picture.
He's got your diary, right?
Fucking hell! Bessie was celebrating his 60th, and you got him in a coffin. Right, so on the right hand side, Almiron is obviously you scored the goal, but we'll get on that in a second. But Matt Richie, another welcome return to that team. He's just an absolute maniac, isn't he?
We've missed him.
It's a real funny one because Besty touched on there about Shelby. When sometimes a player doesn't play, you think the better. Does that make sense? What you just said. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I feel like that about Richie. That sometimes when he's on the field, all we ever do is complain he's not quick enough. He's off the yard of pace. He's hitting the first man. Can't do a set piece. But on games like that game, you knew what he can bring to the team, and he really did. There was a couple of passes he played, which we'll come on to. There was one. Even the commentator went, "Oh." When he did it. It sounds tough, but he did. He played a lovely ball into the centre, then he played a quick free kick to Joe, I think it was. Or maybe I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he had that sort of tenacity on the left-hand side. He was charging people down, chasing after people. And on them moments, you think actually we have missed him. But there is games where he has played, and I thought, oh God, Richie still can't beat a man. He's a yard too slow. But I thought it was a really good game from him as well.
But we'll get to see Richie in all these. I just love this from Richie, Mark. Obviously, when Almiron is running in that ball, Richie's celebrating before Almiron's even touched it. His arms are in the air. He's running towards that corner flag in Miggy's direction thing, and he's burying this. Yeah, you love to see out like that, don't you?
Yeah, and that's the thing, that is what Matt Ritchie brings to the team. And yes, he can complain about that he's not quick enough, that he sometimes doesn't put the ball in, that he doesn't beat the first man, but he gives you so much more on that pitch through his effort, his heart, his desire, his leadership. He just brings another level to the team. And yes, we know he's not the most gifted of footballers out there, but from a heart and a passion point of view, he's way up top for me. I love it.
So would you start him over Lewis right at left back? Because if Saint came back, surely Saint plays left wing. So would you play Richie over Lewis, given all the things you just said?
I guess it depends on the opposition somewhat, because
so Wednesday. Let's take Wednesday for an example.
Sheffield Wednesday, yeah, definitely. Like, you don't need to pay.
So even I thought Sheffield Wednesday.
Walked into it. So we're playing Leeds on Wednesday night, Mark.
Right, okay.
Does Lewis go out of the squad and Richie drops in at left wing back?
I would.
Whatever the hell is that position called?
I would. It gives you more of a defensive solidness, even though he does like to play that little bit wider. But I think Lewis's pace gets him out of a bit of trouble as well, and whether or not that would help him out against Leeds, it's horses for courses, and picking the right players for those games. But yeah, I'd put Richie in there just for his head and his wiseness, really.
Yeah, there's a big question being sent in there, Besty, from Scott Tomlinson, saying, why is Richie not vice captain? I'm pretty sure we've had this topic before, and I'm pretty sure Richie or club officials have came out and said Richie doesn't want it. And that's it. He just doesn't want it. He'd rather be that presence in the dressing room without the obviously title of captain or vice captain. And if he's not comfortable being captain or vice captain, then so be it. I don't think you need that armband to do what Richie does for that team, Besty.
I think he effectively is a captain of sorts. I remember games a couple of years ago where he's gone off in the games, and Newcastle have been a poor team because of him going off. I know I've mentioned a few times that I think Lascelles, maybe less so at the moment, but Lascelles is a good captain because he makes the rest of the team play better where he necessarily isn't. Richie's similar to that for me, where he has, especially now he's a bit older, got his limitations. But I remember, which game was it? I forget which game it was now. He got subbed off and the performance level just dipped because I think he's a very demanding man to play with. He sets high standards. And effectively for me, he is a vice captain, but in all but name, in all but title.
Yeah. So Sean has just obviously repeats what we were just saying. You don't need an armband to be a captain, and it's something obviously we talk about this season. Obviously, Besty, you've done the season review on this season, the first one, the championship, where that team had God knows how many leaders in there. Obviously, there's only one of them wearing the armband, but you can name 5-6 players who were literally like just so involved with the club, both on the field and off the field, and just leaders in their own right. And you need those. You need those in the squad. You need more than one.
I said that 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think we're starting to talk about, and I says, you should have leaders all over the field. Be it centre half, midfield, etc. It's really, really important, and definitely Richie's one of them.
Yeah. So thanks, Lee. Thanks for signing up to become a member. We're halfway there to getting Deka and Mike. Lee, you don't get one. I'm not sure if you listen at the start of this, but you don't get one.
If I sign up, do I get two?
No.
Straight on eBay.
So up top you had our Big Joe up there, and obviously Wilson. Thoughts on the pair in Deka?
I was very pleased
the game.
I was very pleased to start it. That's for starters. When I seen them on the stream show, I was like, mint, great, give them another go. It's a difficult one. I thought Wilson played really well for what he had. He didn't have much service, I didn't feel, during the game, but he's so good at leading the line, man. His movement's so good. I thought Joe was a bit hit or miss. I thought Joe did some decent things in the game, but then went a little bit missing and was a little bit, I wouldn't say lazy is the wrong word, but like, I don't know. He seemed to lose the ball a bit cheaply at times.
Yeah.
It wasn't really one. It wasn't one of his better games, in my opinion. But I thought Wilson was a threat as much as he could be, because the service to him was very poor. But he did lead the line very well for her, though.
I thought.
Sorry, Besty, carry on, mate.
I was just going to say there. I thought Joe Linton's ball over for the first goal was excellent. It was really
brilliant, yeah.
Spotted the run really well. To really good way to pass. I think it was a one touch as well.
So the ball comes from
Lewis.
So Lewis knocks the ball. Yeah,
Wilson,
it is Lewis. Yeah, so is it? It's Lewis to Wilson.
Yeah.
Then Wilson plays it into Joe. Then Joe, we spoke about this, Deka, on our instant reaction after the game. Joe's touch outside of the boot to find Miggy just running an open space. It's like we didn't even see that. So is Joe fully aware that Miggy's in there, or is he just basically hoping, thinking somebody should be there?
No, I think he knew he was exactly there. And what I'll also say, a player that wasn't maybe, I'm not saying he's full of confidence, but a player that was perhaps not having much confidence would have took an extra touch and tried to pass it normally. But from to have the presence of mind and the confidence to use it with the outside of his foot, it was a beautiful pass, perfectly weighted as well. It was a really, really good ball.
Oh, Deka's an ambulance just gone past your house or something.
There has, yes, yeah.
Just a lot of blue lights in your room. I thought the cops were coming for you.
Because I'm being so positive, they've turned up to save Married.
I'm going to watch that back later. There's blue lights all flashing in your living room. Right, so let's get, obviously talk a bit more about the goal there. Take the lead in what was it, 19 seconds? So there's something ridiculous like that.
19 seconds.
Absolutely fantastic finish by Miggy. And after the goal, I'd probably say about 5 minutes we looked all right. Then after that, it was we didn't know what to do really. We just let West Brom control the game. Mark,
I think we're probably scoring that early didn't really do any favours, did it? Because it allowed us to take our foot off the gas.
Give her the lead.
as in for the game and approaching it. I mean, because we didn't then need to keep up the intensity and the pace. And given the situation we're not training and stuff like that, it probably gave people were thinking, it gives us a chance for a bit of a breather because we have taken the lead so early. And whether that then impacted the performance, I don't think we were that bad first half. We weren't brilliant, but we weren't poor. Second half, completely different story.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Besty, in regards to performance first half?
It was similar. We've seen it quite a few times this season where they've started off really well. I mean, I thought they started off well at St Mary's away at Southampton a few weeks ago, and obviously that one just kind of deteriorated really quickly once they got that goal. This one was another similar one where I remember sitting watching it, maybe even 10-15 minutes in, thinking, this looks okay. This are putting some nice little passes together, nice little moments, getting that building up well, and this could be a nice little. You wouldn't have thought they'd had the week with COVID, and then as the kind of game went on, it just you could see that it just didn't look right. It was dreadful, really, for the most part. Like after
Deka, going over you, mate, do you think COVID has got a huge part to play in that? Obviously, players were knackered very, very early on, even towards the end of the first half. You could tell that fitness levels weren't up to where they should be for a Premier League footballer.
Yeah, I do, and I think that was the problem. And to be honest, I'm going to try and be positive and probably get wrong here. I don't label any of that at Bruce's door whatsoever, that first half. Like in terms of the problem, because we took the lead really well, we played very well the first 10 minutes, maybe 15. When West Brom started getting into the game, I seen people on Twitter saying, Bruce and this, Bruce that. No, they were Bruce that. Like the first 15 minutes, we were really playing well. We looked on the front foot, we got a goal early. And I just feel that we just looked a bit leggy, I thought, towards the end of the first half especially. We couldn't handle Gallagher whatsoever. Gallagher was just running the show. He was everywhere, man. We couldn't get any.
It was a great battle between Furlong and Lewis as well, down their right-hand side. They were at each other for the majority of the game. Obviously, we know who came out best in the end, but it's great when you see little individual battles on the field like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, sorry to just touch with Hayden there. I thought the thing with Hayden, he won every duel all game, every header, every interception all game, was just done his job so well. Nothing like fantastic that you would make a highlight reel of, but like he just won every duel all game. I thought Hayden did. That's how he stood out for me anyway.
Yeah. So Mark, sticking on Lewis, there's been a lot of comments coming in from Lewis, and obviously the error that he made for their goal, not long after the second half started. Is that a concern for you? How he knew where the player was, mate. Because if you look at back, he glances over his right shoulder, sees exactly where he is, then he waits for the ball to land at his feet, and that's a worry.
Mistake. Yeah, that was the mistake. He's waiting for the ball to come to him rather than him attacking the ball and clearing it. If he'd just taken a step forward and put his boot through that ball and just cleared it, we wouldn't be in this situation.
But we talk about this every single week, and I mention it every single week. There's always one player on that field that forgets how to use the legs. That was Lewis in that position. He stood like he's wearing lead boots, mate. He stood there, not moving, waiting for the ball to come to him. And that's toddler stuff, that, mate. You get told at early age, go to the ball, especially in a position like that.
Yeah. He doesn't attack the ball at all. I mean, I've just watched it a couple of times there, and I mean, furlong comes from miles out, like so. I mean, I'm not saying it's not to excuse the kind of maladministration by Lewis at the back post, like, but you can see when he's like leaning back and he's waving a foot at it. He's not attacking the ball at all. I think similar to, well, no, not really similar to Richie at Tottenham. I think he just thinks he's got far more time than he has.
Yeah, definitely.
I think give him the credit for the finish though, because it was a very good finish.
Fantastic finish.
9 times out of 10, he connects with that ball and it goes past the post. It just curved in nicely inside of the post, and we got it. But just a moment, a lack of concentration. Like Besty's just said, he thinks he's got more time than he has from that little glance. Player comes from nowhere, gets his foot on it, and it flies in.
Do you think that's an age thing, Deka? Do you think it's an age thing? Do you think it's just he's so young and so raw? You can't put it down to that. Or is it just lack of concentration?
Yeah, just lack of concentration. I think, you know what I mean? He's at an age now and he's reached this level. You've got to remember he's playing Premier League football, and I think when you've reached that level, you should know to attack the ball. What I would say, though, I've just said that I don't blame Bruce for anything in the first half in regards to how it went wrong. I wasn't happy
in the second half, aren't you?
I wasn't happy with how we started the second half. I mean, we got the breather that I think we were desperate for at half time. I was like, great, we've went in, you know what I mean? And the way we came out in the second half was terrible, I thought. And one worry that I've got, that seems to happen a lot with us. We seem to come out and we just do not come out the second half. And that's concerning, that for me. Like,
Yeah. Paul Kinson says, think we're being a bit harsh on Lewis. When was the last time he made a mistake? He got rinsed at the Brighton game, absolutely demolished in that Brighton game against, was it Lamberty on their side?
Yeah,
absolutely annihilated by him. He's like I said, of course he's a young lad. We're not throwing criticism at you. You'll learn from that mistake, of course he will. I think it was Daryl that may have put it in the chat there that he will learn from it, and he has to, because I'm not sure if he was all noticed, but Richie went to town on him. For standing still, screaming at him.
He does.
He got a bollocking, and I bet you after the game he got a bollocking.
We just spoke about Richie and Tottenham. Richie's done it as well. Like, so,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what I would say about Lewis is after he did concede, he was really trying, like he was galloping up the left-hand side with the ball, loads of times sprinting up the wing, and it was as if he was trying to make amends for it. He didn't go hiding, if you like, which was a good sign.
I like the look of Lewis. He has got a mistake in him. I mean, he is a young lad. He's only 11 games into his Newcastle career, fewer because he had an injury for a little while as well. So, yeah, I certainly wouldn't say that when you write him off out like that. He has made a mistake. But as you say, lads, I think he seems to have the character. Last season with Norwich, he didn't start off brilliantly. Then after Christmas, he was fantastic for them. So, see how he gets used to the kind of the area, the club, the players he plays with. I've got no real concerns about Lewis.
So Sean Saunders says Sean Saunders says that he doesn't think that we can hold the likes of Brighton game against him because Saint was missing in that game. He didn't get any help whatsoever down that left side, but he still made a couple of mistakes in there, which you would expect for him to defend that line a bit better. There's another one being sent in. See if I can find it.
Lamptey will make many more left backs look decidedly poor that have got a hell of a lot more experience than Lewis has. So I'm not too concerned about that. Like we said when he signed, he was linked with Liverpool for a long time. You know that you're getting a good player there. You just need to give him the time to develop, and he needs help to develop. And the fact that he's got Richie screaming at him on the pitch, talking to him about his mistakes, that they'll have gone back into training in the last couple of days and talked about that, you would hope. And that's where the development and the help of the other players around them will come from. Richie will absolutely be talking to him, putting his arm around him, getting him, because he's that kind of player. And you can guarantee there'll be others in and around them, like Fetty. Again, he's the same sort of character. He'll be talking about saying, don't let it get to you. You're better than that, but next time, make sure you clear the ball. It's always think about that. Don't forget the mistake you made, but you can move on from it.
So another one there, RL90 sends in. It's been quite a major topic over the last week, I would say. Do you think we should go for Willems again in January? He's in on a free? Because it'll be summer, won't it? It'll be summer. Was it January? I don't know. But he's refusing to sign a contract. He's rejected the new contract that's been offered to him. Would he come in as cover, or would he be that starting one for you, Deka?
For me, I would still stick with Lewis 100%, but I would definitely sign Willems on a free. No doubt about it. There's probably an away chance song in there as well. So Willems on a free or something. But I would definitely sign him. He's great cover for Lewis. And the thing is as well, though, Willems seems to get it, doesn't he? He seems to get it. So that I think that's a real positive. And I don't know whether the only worry is his injuries. That of course it is. But if you sign someone on a free on a decent little wage, I don't really see any risk. There's no risk involved.
It's just dependent.
Do we need him?
You what, sorry?
Do we need him? We've got Dummett there. We've got.
You see,
Dummett's injured again. Dummett's injured again, mate.
What is happening with Dummett? Put it this way: if something happens with Lewis, you've got Richie to fill in. So I probably give you that. If everyone was fit, you've got 3 left backs at the club. So then, do you need 4? You're getting like Pardew at the minute, but that many left backs. But it's a free transfer. It's not really costing you anything. It's costing you maybe a shirt number. It's costing you a place in the squad. Okay, I'll give you that one. But I don't know. I probably still would.
It kind of feels.
I'd have him, but it is exactly what you've just said there, Deka. It's a squad number, a shirt number.
Yeah, it is.
But Dummett's currently got a squad number, hasn't he?
It feels to me like Dummett stays a number in Newcastle. He's kind of hasn't. I know he's been injured, but he doesn't seem to be in the reckoning at all. Like, it's a shame because I don't mind Dummett. I think.
But the thing is, though, if you're looking at, of course, we're saying Dummett has been injured, and obviously Willems has had that big injury last season. But I think if you're looking at one player, let's say if Willems is a Newcastle United player, if you've got a choice between Willems or Dummett, I'm picking Willems to get that squad number all day long.
Depending on how he's recovered from his injury, that's a bit of an unknown. But
you could see the same on Dummett.
Yeah, that's what I'm arguing with Dummett's point as well. It's a really toss-up line, isn't it? Injury-wise.
How many? Can you remember the game where he came back and it was against Wolves away? It was, and we're like, "Oh, Dummett's back," and he got injured within. It felt 5 minutes. He pulled up, and I was like, "Oh God, he's injured again." I don't think he's played since that game, and that's a long time ago. It feels a long time since I've seen Dummett play anyway.
I'm not. Someone will probably tell her, but I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if he's played any of the under 23 games.
No,
I'm not sure. I've never seen any photos of them. I think I saw a trainer. I saw a 4 of them training.
Maybe one game.
I'm not sure.
But this is the argument I have. This is the argument I have about centre midfield with this club. And I'll say it again. I have nothing against Dummett, right? And I don't want to slag off Dummett. But as a football club, if you're wanting to progress and become better, I'm afraid you have to sacrifice like Paul Dummett. You have to.
Yeah.
And you just to move on, you have to sacrifice some of these players.
As much as I would like to see Willems come in because I do like him, I do rate him. I don't think he's going to start. We wouldn't have signed Lewis if we didn't see him as the future in that position, which is why it then makes me then consider: do you risk a squad number on him when we've already sat and talked tonight about how we need to strengthen in midfield? That's more of a worrying position for me than left back, where we've potentially got 2 other players that can play there. Plus,
Emil,
in the centre defence as well.
Emil's right. He played 3. He played 3 centre halves, and he played.
I was not a few days later where the club announced that he had picked an injury up though in training. I'm sure he's injured again now. I'm sure he's injured again now. Sure he is.
It's a worry because it seems to be every 5 minutes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One game in the last 9 months or 10 months, it's not good enough, is it really?
No, he was all right. He was all right. I don't even know where I'm going to go here. My mind's been frazzled by Paul Dummett's injuries.
I'm going to say, so obviously we've touched on the 1-1, right? And now I'm going to get wrong again here. I'm going to give Bruce loads of credit here because his substitutions were absolutely spot on. He went for the game. There's decisions I've seen him do before where he tries to shut up shop and hang on to a draw, and he brought on attacking-minded substitutions just when we needed them. And it won with the game. There's no doubt about it.
West Brom, I think, was half. Did they make a double sub at half time? Or very quick succession?
They brought Austin on and
did they not make 3?
Gibbs. Did Gibbs come on? Or was he already on?
Gibbs and Austin were at half time.
Right. Okay. So those are 2 attacking players. Obviously, they've realised there that Newcastle there for the taking. Obviously, they got the goal back straight away. But moving on to those subs, which Deka just mentioned, they obviously Murphy and Gale coming on straight at the goal. In fact, no. Before they even goal, Gale had a shot on target, cleared off the line, a headed one, another headed chance, and he looked lively, didn't he? He definitely changed the game when it came on, and he gave us a lot more options. Dwight Gale.
I think he does. I think he's a decent striker, Dwight Gale. I mean, obviously had that season in the Championship, which were kind of everyone loved him for, at the time, and he struggled to really get a game in the Premier League. And I think I'm not going to say he's going to be prolific 15, 20 goal a season striker for Newcastle in the Premier League, but he's more than worthy for me of a place in the squad. I mean, could it be argued that he played for West Brom on loan, didn't he, a year or 2 ago? So does that give him that a little bit of an appetite? Murphy did as well. Yeah,
he was amazing. Gale was amazing for West Brom that season.
He scored the same amount of goals. I think it was like 24, 25. It was a lot of goals. I've said this. If you think of when lockdown happened and we came back and played football, Gale was scoring every week towards the end of last season. I think he scored 5 and 7 games or something like that. And I keep saying it, if we sold Gale, everyone talks about getting rid of him. How much would it cost to bring in a striker that gets you them type of goals? It's going to cost you an absolute fortune. And for me, I appreciate he's got problems with injuries. I understand that. But when he's fit, he's a real threat, and the ball's a magnet to him in the box. It's a magnet. Somehow, it's a magnet.
Bruce is a big fan of him as well. I mean, Bruce has praised him massively since the game at the weekend, kind of in his post-match interview and stuff like that, talking about how many times he tried to sign him in the past, and he is a natural goal scorer. He's that type of player that, just like Deka said, he wants to be in the box. He wants to be getting to the ball, and the goal showed it. It was that desire to get there and attack it. And
so Daryl hits the nail on the head there. Obviously about the subs there, saying that the subtle little changes, little tweaks, which were made of Richie dropping in at left back, Joe on the left hand side. Obviously that then leaves room for Gale up top. So you've got 3 attacking players. Obviously Joe, Wilson, and Gale all on the pitch at the same time. And Murphy's cross, we'll go straight to you on this one, Besty. Murphy's cross, it's pinpoint, absolutely pinpoint. To get that in between the 2 defenders, it's fantastic.
It's like I occasionally watch compilations of Beckham at Real Madrid because I love a good cross. And honestly, I'm not saying it again. I'll caveat this by saying I don't think Daryl Murphy, beg pardon. I don't think that Murphy's quite as good as Beckham yet. But the way the ball kind of turns and seems to speed up towards Gale's head, obviously it's just like a trick of the camera and all, but it just seems like it's the kind of...
What goal are you going to say, Besty? What goal are you going to say?
Oh, there's a cross he puts in. I forget who it was.
Ronaldo.
Yeah. Where it seems to turn 90 degrees and speed up as it goes towards Ronaldo. And this one by Murphy was similar for me. It's a lovely... The weight's perfect, the speed's perfect, and it lands exactly where he wants it to be. It's a wonderful ball in. From someone
it's great power on the ball, absolutely fantastic power on the ball, and obviously the power that Gale gets on the back of that as well. The keeper's got no chance, absolutely no chance of saving that. And
not a Kyle chance.
Do you think obviously we went on to win the game? Do you think we deserved that win, or do you think West Brom will feel a little bit hard done by?
They didn't really test with it. They didn't trouble with,
despite
with performance in the. Despite
they had a chance in the first half, mate, where obviously we took the lead. And there was Gallagher in the box, absolutely just smashed it, and it went miles wide. God knows if that was one of our players, if that was like say Shelby in that position, and he doesn't even hit the target with that, you're furious, especially from a player who had a decent game.
But that's why they're in the position that they are at the moment, is because they do look a little bit toothless. They don't look like the they can cause many problems. And I know that they'd had a couple of decent results in the run up to playing us and stuff like that. But you worried for them before they even came up, but even more so as the way the season's going on for them to survive. But they never look threatening to me, really.
Yeah, so Ewan says there, Deka, if Gale keeps on scoring, would you play him alongside Wilson, or do you keep him as an impact sub?
I think if someone keeps scoring, you can't keep them out of the team. Even if mentally you think they're a better impact sub, if Gale did keep on scoring and was fit, how can you not stop him? How can you? And I don't mean this to knock Joe whatsoever, of course. I honestly don't. I really don't, because I think Joe's been decent recently. But again, looking back at the end of last season, where Gale scored 5 goals in 7 games, I think Joe, it's took him 40 odd and he hasn't getting there. Gale's on the pitch for literally 5 minutes. He had one off the line and scored a goal. It's just the ability to be able to get on the end of things and get in them key areas. And how can you not? How can you not? You know what I mean?
My only worry would be are the two similar, Wilson and Gale? Like they're both that kind of, poacher wanting to be in the box and stuff like that. Whereas when you've got Wilson and Joe, it gives you a bit more of a partnership where they're not both wanting to get into the same positions. Joe's happier to be that little bit deeper and act as a buffer or something to lay off.
It makes perfect sense what you're saying. It does, Mark. It does. Just my only sort of counter argument to that would be, I would love to see 2 players in the box more often. Like I really would. I'd love to see 2 players hanging on the back of their centre half shirts, causing them problems. Whereas, as you've mentioned, this is how I still think Wilson gets too isolated, because we just don't have anyone that's willing to be literally on him, like up with him. I'm not saying it would work. Maybe both of them may be too light, too small. I don't know. But the question that it is, if he kept scoring, which is a big if, I think he has to start.
I'd like to look at Joe Linton and Wilson together. I want to see, because that's 2 games they've started together now in a row. 2 games they've won, 2 games where Joe Linton's he scored one, made one against Palace, made one against West Brom there on Saturday. I would like to see him keep with those 2. Gale for me is definitely third choice. If you've got him and Carroll on the bench, and you need to change the game, for me, for all the temptations there to bring Carroll on because he's like 10 foot out and this, that, and the other. You bring Gale on for me because he's just a better player.
Yeah,
I think Deka says the ball, he's a natural goal scorer.
I think if you were going to go with those 2, you're going to have to ask Wilson to change his game, and he's going to then have to do more of that deeper role that Joe does to allow Gale to be that little bit further, because Gale can't be that link-up man.
I agree. Do you not think Gale? Sorry, apologise. Wilson did a lot of that on Saturday, running out wide. Look at the goal. Look at the goal was scored. Wilson's left touchline, or depending on how you look at it, left touchline, winning the ball, gives it to Joe. Joe's technically where you would think Wilson would be. I think Wilson's a lot more than just this guy.
We mentioned this before. I think we mentioned this before, and I'm pretty sure we compared him to the likes of Loic Remy, because he will happily go chasing the balls on the wings and pick it up and deliver it into the box, and we've seen it a few times.
This very good Wilson. On the ball.
There was a game where St. Maximin had a chance where kind of Almiron broke. Maybe Man U at home, actually, where Wilson kind of played on the halfway line towards the left-hand side, like what Remy would do, and he played the ball through to St. Maximin, and he had a shot with straight to kick. I think it was Man U at home, but yeah, I think Wilson has got. You see him in the channels quite a lot. You see him kind of with the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box, kind of trying to maybe cut it back or look and see who's there. So
he did one on Saturday. Was Saturday? Wasn't sorry, forget me days. Where he done so well to get in the box, but he had nobody up with him. Yeah. And he held on to it, and he ended up in the corner, and he almost put his hands up and was like, "Oh, well, lads, like I've literally just brought me neck out wide here to try and get a ball in for you."
He's a main man, Wilson, though, and he's a good striker.
Just brilliant. Honestly, just amazing.
There's a video going around of him Shithausen where he just clicks the lads' legs together and puts the ball away.
This is what I was going to come on to. This is we say this, and I'm a massive believer that you need an absolute dickhead in your team, more than one. And the name hasn't been mentioned tonight in the chat. Now I'm really surprised that hasn't been mentioned. But Dele Alli getting linked with a loan move to Newcastle United. Deka is absolutely furious about it because he just doesn't like him as a person, never mind as a player. But people are saying, "Oh, do you need that sort of character in your team?" Yes, you need some dickheads in the team, and he is the definition of a dickhead. And Callum Wilson, though, you love to see it. You love to see it.
He's a different type of dickhead, though. Dele Alli is just a dickhead, whereas Wilson is is
No,
just
but
a little bit
mate, but
bossy.
we're saying that because
Oh,
Wilson's
dickhead.
ours. Wilson's ours. If he was in another team and he kicks your player like that, he's that dickhead. He's that Dele Alli dickhead.
Of course he is. I get what you're saying, but I mean, Tottenham haven't played Dele Alli in the top of the league, so I don't know if that's got something to do with it. But they've never been top before. But I just he'll never come anyway. Let's just get that out there. He'll never ever come. But I do agree with you though. If you think of the Tottenham documentary, Mourinho's banging on saying you need to be a C to he keeps saying that, doesn't he? The players, you need to be more angry, you need to be more aggressive, you need to be more dirtier, you need to know how to be a dick. And you're right. Wilson's like that. I still think Richie's like that as well. Richie's a bit of a dick. That's what you need. And I think at the championship season, I know the level, of course, wasn't as good, but we had your Nolans, your Bartons. We had our souls, and that's what you need. You need that.
I'll tell you what. Some that I noticed. I want to get this in there. We haven't really spoke about him yet, but there was a point, and he didn't have much to do on Saturday. But there was a point where Caldwell had the ball on the edge of the box. It got passed back to him, and he had control of the ball, and I felt confident, and I've never felt that way him before. I felt
really?
like he's gone up a tier.
Can you to say that?
Deka, have you seen that ambulance driving back again? Send it Besty's house.
I sent it to Jarrah.
Isn't this Besty's code word to say that he's being held as a hostage at the moment? He's behind the camera with a gun at him.
There's a bloke with a dog in the garden.
2 dogs.
But I know it was like he's kind of. I don't want to say won us over because it's not that I didn't like him, but it's like I feel more confident with Caldwell. He's and he didn't have much to do on Saturday at all. But now he's there. I love
it how every time any one of us are trying to think of what day the game is, we're questioning ourselves. It's Saturday.
It's the thing is, it was Saturday 3 o'clock.
You don't know what day it is these days, do you? That's the thing.
It was a proper Saturday 3 o'clock, and it just didn't. Yeah. It never feels like it now. But yeah, I want to. Because I have kind of been on his case a little bit in the past. Credit words to you for that. I think
obviously Dubravka looks like he's going to be coming back soon. By the sounds of it, Bruce has said it.
Yeah.
Does Dubravka go straight back in, or do you give Darlow more time?
Dubravka comes straight back in. He's a better goalkeeper.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like no matter how well Darlow has done, Dubravka's the better goalkeeper. He comes straight in for me. You do the same for your striker.
I don't know if it'll be that straightforward. Like I would say the same. For me, Dubravka's got to come straight back in, but Darlow has been all right, hasn't he, in the time that he's been here? So
he obviously hasn't been getting peppered as much because I haven't seen that stat come on the telly that we've had the most shots in the world against us. So obviously that's changed the last couple of weeks because I haven't seen that. So
it's an interesting thing for me is you have both just mentioned there in different aspects, but you've both just spoken about the championship. And I saw an interesting stat following the game on Saturday that there were 7 of the players were actually from our championship team.
Yeah,
that were on the game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's but we're in the championship team. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't like that. I keep saying this. I say this all the time to you guys that we haven't moved on.
Yeah,
last season we went and we still had the same centre midfield. And we need to progress. We need to progress.
Besty, you've got a cold.
No, I've
She's making him sneeze.
Funny enough, Mark saying that there, like my allergies have been going mad this afternoon, like so in fact all day. So it could be.
Have you been in the loft again, mate? Is that what it is?
So now we know that bloke with a gun behind the camera has also got to whip it with him.
Is it obvious? Is it?
You sniffed just before you said it. You went, is it obvious?
He's just feeling really emotional. That's what it is.
I am. It's since I've
wins in a row set him off.
It's because I've called Darlow some credit there, and I've just me nervous system's breaking down.
So Daniel van der Butt says Darlow's kicking worries him. Does it worry you, Besty?
Not as much as it has with other goalkeepers.
Like Tim Krul.
Given kicking wasn't great. Hartman's wasn't brilliant. We've kind of historically had keepers that weren't wonderful kickers. Darlow's kicking, I don't think his distribution's as good as what Dubravka's is, which is one of the reasons I think Dubravka comes straight back in, but not unduly. It's not. I mean, I speak as a goalkeeper that would have someone else take me goal kicks because I couldn't kick that far off a dead ball. But Darlow's kicking isn't brilliant, but I think the other aspects of his game, he's finishing. dickhead. He's shot stopping, makes up for it easily.
So there's a question sent in. We'll go straight to you on this one, Deka. Gary Mills says, a biggest dickhead ever to play for NUFC. I've got two in mind, but see if anyone comes across mine. Yeah, so you, Deka?
Do you think he means dickhead meaning like
like Wilson style dickhead,
Right.
somebody that's got that attitude on the field rather than off it?
Craig Bellamy?
Yeah, that was one of mine.
Yeah. If I'll give you one anyway, I'd probably say him.
Shearer, probably.
Yeah, that was my second one, Shearer.
Nice. Big Alan.
Bellamy would have been mine, and I would say Barton.
Warren Barton seems like a nice bloke. He came on the
I knew
Joe Barton. Joseph.
But like, we see it all the time. You need that mixture of talented players, but you also need a player who's probably bang average, but a bit of a dick.
Yeah. We've had fair share of bang average players. Like
fair few of them.
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
bang average dickheads. I think.
Well, I haven't mentioned yet who was a dickhead, but I think by all accounts a nasty piece of work, Emery.
Yeah, because he was a massive racist, mate.
There's that. That's what I mean. Like, he was.
If you take that out of the equation, he was a decent player. I liked him a lot. He
was a really good player. Well, I remember
really
when we played at Inter in the San Siro, 2002, I think it was. I mean, he played for Inter at a time, and he was a shit. He was a shit. I was delighted when we signed him because I thought that's what we need. We need like a nasty, but he was a lovely little footballer. But again, as I say, a dreadful man.
Yeah. So why we've got nearly 150 people watching this one? Obviously, we've got two spaces left for emojis. I've seen a lot of people use our little emojis there during the chat tonight. We've got our four lovely faces. You've got both logos, so the Gallagher Shots logo, the podcast logo, you've got Steve Bruce, and you've also got two bottles of brown ale. So we've got two spaces left. So if anyone has any suggestions, players, icons, anything that you would like introduced as emojis, then it's your choice, members. I've seen Nile Ranger pop up on the screen, but I'm guessing that isn't a Nile Ranger emoji. I'm guessing that's a dickhead.
Yeah. Callum Lewis has mentioned Duncan Ferguson as well. Like he was, oh God, I love him.
But I think you can't look any further than Shearer, to be honest with you, because he was an arse, an absolute arse.
Kicking Neil Lennon in the face and saying, "Well, if you do this for him, I'm not going to play for England anymore."
That was amazing, wasn't it? That was amazing.
Is that the story behind that?
True, factual. Yeah. He bragged the FA. He said, "If you ban me that you're going to, I won't play for England."
It was just before the '98 World Cup as well.
That's right. Yeah,
Philbert Street, because he
just absolutely amazing.
I remember I was still at school at the time, and I remember saying, "Oh no, he's trying to free his leg." Like you look at like trying to defend the man's honour. Like you look at it like with a little bit more kind of maturity, and think, he's done him there. Like, he's just
tell you something. As you all know, that's not even the best bit. Batty coming over and moving his legs, Lennon's legs off the field. That is brilliant.
I remember.
I love Batty as well.
So now, like
would all lace him in the face, though, wouldn't we, Lennon?
How many games do you think you'd be banned for now for doing that? You're looking at a large chunk of the season.
Could be. It's not just a 3-game ban.
You're looking around about 10 games, you would say, wouldn't you?
So if Harry Kane, do you think?
100%. He's literally took a penalty with using Neil Lennon's head.
No, I do, and I think that just proves how bad it is. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, a lot of people, rightfully or wrongly, say that Kane gets away with things and whatever. I think even if he did that now, it would be like a 10 game or something. You know what I mean? It's because it's a shocker. There's no doubt about it. It's a shocker, but it was good at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't think he would, because look at all that footage that was going around what a week, 2 weeks ago.
Mate, it's a little bit different backing into players and kicking them square in the face.
It's the same thing around intent.
It's not, mate. It's not at all. Nah, I'm not having that. Like, of course, like, of course, it's. You don't want to see it. Obviously, the game has changed a lot since. Obviously, Shearer's playing days, but you can't compare those two. Like, you cannot.
No, it's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker. It really was. But it was, it is what it is, isn't it? It was a shocker though, and I couldn't believe that England. But he put them in. He put the FA in a very, very difficult situation, didn't he? Really, that's exactly what he did.
So
he did.
A dickhead who I haven't really mentioned. Someone more recent, Colaccini.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cola was a bit of an arse. Yeah.
Colaccini. So Colaccini, obviously, he kicked Demba Ba in the face on Demba Ba's return. I'm pretty sure there's a story from Peter Crouch where Peter Crouch lost a few of his teeth because of Colaccini, and like his teeth were on the field, and he was picking his teeth up and going to the medic. Just put them back in. You can't just put your teeth back in. It doesn't work like that. And that's the reason why Crouch has got a couple of false teeth, because of Colaccini smashed them.
I mean, within reason, Argentinians are, you know what I mean? Like,
It's just South Americans in general, I think, mate.
yeah, you know, they're a bit ratty and they like to get stuck in. They're a bit dirty. They'll kick you when the ref's not looking. And you need that, don't you? You know, you need that. And honestly, I loved Colo for a long, long period of time when he was here. I really did.
Yeah.
It's a winner's mentality, though, isn't it? Win at all costs.
Yeah, so Adams mentioned as well, obviously, that pre-season game. It was in Portugal, I want to say, where he strangles that kid. And it just looks like that image where Homer Simpson's strangling Bart. Because the kid's tiny and Colin was like towers above and he's just got him by the neck. Obviously,
it's like he's strangling Bella's son or something, isn't it? The way, like, it just looks mental, isn't it? It's classic.
There's been a few mentions of that one. Kieran said it as well. I can see it on the screen that he strangled the bloke. There's quite a few. But yeah, there's been a few shouts for emojis to be sent in. Obviously, we've got the whole "we won you now." Neil wants that emoji. There's been a few shouts for Shearer celebration.
We did have that one, didn't we?
Yeah, so that is on my list. That is on my list somewhere. I'd rather go more recent, because I think you'd get more usage out of recent players and things like that. But
could go for the Perez.
So Perez, yeah, I was watching a podcast earlier. I'm not saying what podcast, but they were having a discussion about Perez and saying, should we try and bring him back?
Nope. Absolutely not.
Well, right, okay. So Mark's answered that one. So Deka, your thoughts on it, mate?
Nah, no way. No.
Besty?
No way.
Should we bring Perez back? I liked him. I did like Perez. I thought he was a good player. I think a lot of the abuse he got was a bit of a shame, to be honest with you. But
Mark,
I don't know if he
never abused him.
I don't know where he fits, where he would fit in the team at the minute. Because when
you're looking at a player losing position, aren't you, to bring Perez in? Which player would that be sacrificed?
Joe,
because you probably would say Gale, probably.
I think Joe Linton. Perez for Joe. I think he's a better player than Joe Linton. Yeah, I'll bring him back. Why not? Howie? come home.
Get him back for that 4 months of the year that he plays decent.
I mean, he wouldn't come, but I get the question there. I just think I'm not really a fond person of going back over for players. And
can you think any off the top of your head who have brought back, who's done a decent job?
Peter Beardsley, but
Beardsley was wonderful.
I'm going back years, of course. Yeah, like,
Andy Carroll. Cabai?
Well, he went. Like, he didn't leave, but he went, didn't he? And then came back.
He just didn't get on a bus. Do you mean?
I thought you were going to say when he missed that penalty against Upper Palace.
Yeah, I can't remember how many players that's. I mean, if we're talking in that sort of, I'll be there. Wijnaldum. Yes, I would take Wijnaldum back in a heartbeat. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd go back to the Perez days. I'm not saying he was a bad player or anything. I just, you got to move on.
Didn't Lee Clark leave and then come back as well?
Yeah. Went to Sunderland, then Fulham, then came back. He did all right when he came back as well.
He did all right, didn't he? Bless him. He did. Yeah, he did.
Anyone I can think of?
Yes, Clark. I mean,
Nobby.
Oh, Nobby, yeah, of course, Nobby.
Aye.
We should never have let him go, like, to be fair.
What a fucking player, man. What a player.
That was a mistake selling him when we did. Yeah.
Few shouts.
What a player.
Robbie Elliott as well, yeah.
If there's one player, if you can think of right now, that's currently still playing, that you could bring back, who would it be?
Ooh. Still playing.
Wijnaldum for me, Jack. I just said it.
Wijnaldum, James Milner, still playing.
And I would probably say, what's he called? Spanish lad?
Perez.
Marino.
Yeah. Mikel.
Marino's a good shout, like guy.
I'm just looking at that centre midfield position and thinking that's what we need to address right now. Benton, no thanks.
And Gosling, he's still playing as well, isn't he? He's still playing at Brighton.
There's a few shouts. Marino. Somebody says Remy. Is Remy still playing?
Yeah, he's playing. Is he not playing for Lyon?
Don't know.
He's still playing in France.
So Sam Young, Demba Bar. This is a shout by Rossington Bay. Lejeune.
He's going to come back, isn't he?
Wijnaldum, man, would just be amazing. It never happened, of course, but can you imagine, man? What a player he is.
Mbappe was a good shout.
You think
Doesn't have him too
Sissoko back?
bad of a time, is he? Nah.
He'd walk in the team for me. Like, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Sissoko. He'd walk in the team, man.
There's a few decent shouts in there, but I don't know. I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to keep on coming back in the centre midfield position because I'm not happy with any single one of those players that are playing. We're probably Hayden at a push because he's quite steady. The rest of them around them, we need a huge upgrade, and we're going full circle right back to where we started on this one. But that's a major concern for me. That it seems like a like-for-like replacement on every single one of those centre midfielders. There's nobody there that's willing to change the game. You'd probably say Matty, who isn't even getting any game time. He's probably only one that looks like pushing forward.
That whole championship thing, doesn't it? We're still playing the same midfield that we had in the championship.
Here's one for you, lads. Ivan Toney.
Shout.
Alan Armstrong.
I've just seen.
It was Armstrong.
It was Jack Booth mentioned Armstrong in the chat. Then I was thinking Toney. I wonder because I mean he went to Peterborough, did a really good job in League One, and he's doing well with Brentford now in the Championship. But he's I don't know. It's something different, and he's kind of got. He's like that's something for Carroll, no problem.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The problem is though with the fan base, people crash and burn very, very quickly when you're up front. Like, it's if you don't come in after 3 games and you haven't scored, there's questions, and it's very, very tough. Very, very tough.
The thing is I think we've talked about it before on the podcast that these 2 players wouldn't be in the position that they are now had they not have left the club and gone on to hard loans and gone on to play for other
There's
teams.
There's a police again.
That's me on the telly. They wouldn't have developed the way that they had. So if they had stayed at Newcastle, they wouldn't be the players they are today because they wouldn't have had the game time and they wouldn't have had 2 or 3 seasons playing in those lower leagues to get their position, get the goals and stuff like that, and develop the way that they had. They would have ruined the careers.
Rossick and Perez just said that in the chat as well. He's right. Toney wouldn't have played for. I mean, having said that, we got relegated. Was he still a Newcastle player? We signed him when McLaren was manager. So
we signed him that season.
Yeah, came back up. So it probably was a little bit. I always think the championship season's a really good opportunity for the young lads. Like Aaron's, I thought would have a good crack at it. Obviously, didn't come to pass.
So Michael Sullivan there, Besty, great shout. It makes you wonder why we didn't include some sort of buyback option. It's something which the club have never really managed to do. And you look at the likes of the buyout clauses and things like that. I think there was criticism over Perez's, wasn't it? Saying that we should never really put that in. Perez's buyout.
Sometimes the players, that's
the condition of signing.
The condition to sign, so you either lose them for nothing or you put that in. I mean, the Toney one, there's a lot of players that we've had in with time where, you're just loaning them out and loaning them out and loaning them out,
So Neil says that he thinks that the police are at Deka's following themselves as Porsche.
Yeah, very possible.
You just think of the strikers that we've had in the past at the club that that have been young and bright, and you think, they're definitely going to go on to play in the first team. You can go back years and years and years, and you've had the same situation. And it just never happens. We never get that break.
It makes you laugh though how mental fans are really. Like you think of Armstrong, for example, right? You think Adam Campbell, think of Chocolate of a degree.
Yeah, Alan Armstrong before that.
You think of Toney, but then think of most recently. Who's that kid who can't get a game for
Elias Sorensen?
Every time right now, get him up front, he'll do the job. It's just mental. It honestly just makes me laugh at times, like what they ask sometimes.
To be fair, he's playing in the second division in Holland at the minute, and he's doing all right. To be fair to him,
I think I'd be with a few months training in bloody second division Holland. No offence,
it's about. That is why when you're a young player, you need to go out on loan. You need to go out and be playing games. I'm all for it for letting your players go out and to develop. It's the only way they're going to get any better.
The point I'm probably trying to make, 100% do that, by the way. We'll come on to a second. But the problem that you've got, you send a player out on loan, a young player. So let's say Toney or Armstrong, and then they come back and the fans. We only argue about the same position nearly all the time as a striker. Got to buy a striker. God, he's got to spend money. Actually, doesn't spend. If we brought Toney back after he scored 37 million goals for Peterborough, say, the fans wouldn't accept that. He's learned his trade. We've bought him. We've loaned him out, and now he's back to be our striker. The fans wouldn't have this. because we haven't spent any money. We wouldn't allow it. It's just the way it is.
Sorry, I was checking my phone. I tell you what, if we get one more member, is there everybody happy to go till 20 past if we get one more?
Midnight.
Half past? Right, okay, so Deka's called it. One more, and we'll go till half past.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Scott, 100% would bring him back.
Why?
Tavernier.
Well, I still think right backs, as much as we've credited Manquillo, it's still an area of the field that needs upgrading. I don't care what anyone tells us. And have you seen, I know it's Scotland and I know it's a poor league and all the rest of it, people bang on. I think this season he's got something like 14 goals and 16 assists from that position. And he's a different player compared to what he was when he left. I'm not saying he's a top 4, top 5 right back, don't get us wrong, but I definitely think he's better in that position than what we've got.
My worry is the fact that he has got that many goals and assists. Imagine him trying to do that in the Premier League. Imagine how many would be shipping at the other end.
Yeah, but why not? Why not think about what people can be doing going forward? You know what I mean? Put the opposition on the back foot for a change. You know what I mean? Rather than thinking we're right back has to just defend. Don't come forward. We're too scared. You know what I mean?
Well, lads,
everybody complains about Yedlin.
We're going to have
and getting caught out of position and everything like that.
Thanks, James.
I thought the issue with Yedlin for me was his final ball. He broke his neck to get in the right areas, and then his final cross would hit the first man or whatever. But I don't dislike it, Yedlin, to be honest with you.
I don't think Tavernier's is as good as perhaps people think he is. Like, to be fair.
So do you think he's better than the right backs that we've got at our disposal? If Manquillo was at Rangers, do you think Manquillo gets ahead of him?
I think he would, yes.
It's hard to say, isn't it? It is hard to say. Like, look how well Scott Sinclair did in Scotland for Celtic. I know it's a different position, but he was a very middling, at best, winger in the Premier League, and he went to Celtic and he was unbelievable. So it's hard to say. Like, I think there was talk of Atu going to Celtic a year or two ago, and I think he would do a job in Scotland as well.
Summer, he was linked with them again.
I'd like to see. I mean, Tavernier, with him being an ex-Newcastle player and stuff, you kind of keep an eye on him. I'd love it if he were to come back and do brilliantly. But
Sinclair, was it Sinclair that went over there and had an absolute blinder for was it Celtic? Yeah, it was Celtic, wasn't it?
Sinclair, yeah.
Did he go from Swansea over there?
Yeah.
Well, he was good for Swansea.
Did he go Man City for a little bit? Have I just made that up?
Chelsea, wasn't he?
He was Chelsea.
I think he did go to Man City, didn't he?
I thought it was Man City. I don't know.
I think he did. He
got a big move, didn't he? He got a big move to one of those teams, and he ended up in Scotland. Absolutely.
Where's he playing now? He's playing for Preston or something now, isn't he?
Yeah, mate.
I might be Preston.
I think it's Preston now. Yeah, it's a fall from grace. That is like.
But that just shows you the level of football. There's not many players that can come from the Scottish Premier League and come into England. You look at Robertson. In probably what's his face who went to Arsenal. They're the only two that kind of stick out in my mind of Tierney, that's it, that have came from that league and gone to a top club.
But going back like 10 years, when Borough signed Chris Boyd, he was a record scorer in the SPL, and he was shite in the Championship. It's different now. I mean, when we were kids, well, certainly when
80s and 90s, every team had a Scotsman in it, didn't it? Because they were excellent.
So Kieran Bolton says that Sinclair he did go to City, went to City for 3 years, and he never got a game. Obviously, on the discussion of right backs, there's been quite a few people mentioning, and one of them saying that we'll never actually replace Debussy. Debussy was very Debussy was very hit and miss for me.
I actually like him that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Debussy and Yama were very similar. If I'm being, I think it's always been a concern for quite a number of seasons now that right back position. Obviously, we've got Manquillo there now. We've got Kraft there. Who else? Yedlin. It's another area where it needs improvement. Yeah, so Murphy's played right wing back, but I still think it's an area that needs improved.
Is Habibie available? I didn't mind Habibie back in the day.
Did you read that? Because somebody just said Habibie.
I liked Habibie.
I remember Janmat. I was watching
Habibie.
I was watching the 2014 World Cup, I was on holiday in Greece with a friend of mine who's from Rotterdam. He's like a big, massive Feyenoord fan, huge Feyenoord fan. Which is why it always makes me feel a bit sad when you see the Sunderland Feyenoord thing. 'Cause I don't mind Feyenoord; they're all right, nice shirts. But we were during the World Cup. Janmaat played on his right wing back. He kind of him with the Kuyt seemed to alternate. It was strangely really. Because I was thought Kuyt was more of a striker, but Rob, my mate, was kind of you've got to Janmaat. He's going to go to Newcastle. He's going to do this, that. And I thought I like the look of this bloke. Like, and I really want him to sign because I thought he was great in that group stage. I think he played in the air against Spain and maybe Chile in the group stage. I thought, he's a footballer. This bloke, like he was okay at Newcastle. I remember he kicked Balotelli up the height one game. Right in front of the dugout, and everyone thought I will like him, but it just didn't. He was a bit of a kind of emblem of what was wrong when he at Southampton when Lascelles got made captain and he punched the hole in the wall or whatever. Janmaat to me became kind of part of this, almost like the poster boy of the kind of not Newcastle not being as good as the sum of their parts.
Yeah, because it was a similar sort of thing when Korvac called him out, didn't he? Was it? No, that was Williamson. Actually, that was Williamson, wasn't it?
Was that game?
Sorry, that was Williamson.
That was at Leicester. That was.
Yeah, that's where he wiped. Who did he wipe out? Was it Vardy? He wiped out.
Yeah, he pushed him into the camera.
In the camera,
very cheap sending out, stupid. I think with the point you made there about Janmaat, I definitely think he's a hell of a player. I really do, but his attitude is the problem, isn't it? He's a bit like if the chips are down, you wouldn't want to rely on him. But if you were in a team that was successful, I think you'd look a world beater. I mean, you do.
Yeah,
he's
another one that your memory's soured by the way things ended with him. And towards the end of his Newcastle career, it just put a sour taste on everything that he'd done because he wasn't bad up until that point, really.
Santon was left back though. I've seen a lot of Santon.
Santon was only I think Santon, like he played left back, but I think he was used at right back a couple of times, wasn't he? But I think he was used in right midfield at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He scored against Wigan when Hedora nearly died. When Hedora got snapped off. He scored in that game. It was the first game he played. Pardew played him right wing, which I thought would suit him. But he was very, very dangerous coming from left back. He just bombed forward all the time. But it was the derby when we conceded it. I'd never forgive him for that.
If anybody is interested, we'll have added another emoji live on the screen there, and it's Matt Richie. I don't think you lads will see it unless you're watching the YouTube link. But we've got Matt Richie added there, not Gordon Ramsay.
It does look like Gordon Ramsay.
Could be Gordon Ramsay. So as we're talking, we had 2 new people sign up. So we're still going to Habast. We're not going to go any later than that one tonight. We'll go to Habast.
Kris, any questions from? I can't see the chat.
So if anybody got any questions to send in, send them across in the chat, and we'll try our hardest to read them out. Of course, if you remember, you've got more chance of having it read out. So
and James.
I've just had a message from upstairs saying, "Can I keep it down?" Because I've woke Alfie up. So, oops.
Oh my god, it's all that sniffing, mate.
Lisa said to me, "I need to keep it down as well."
It's all right. We'll go for another 15, but we'll keep it down, right? Whisper.
It's hard with your headphones on, man. It's hard. You don't realise, Well, don't know how hard it is. Excuse me, if you know what I mean.
Just keeps getting louder and louder.
So Scott Tomlinson, question in regards to the takeover. I tell you what, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm at that point where we're talking about bread. We're back to tracking flights. Mike Ashley's going to Saudi Arabia on his flight, ends up in Dubai because he's on holiday. I'm bored of it, man. I'm absolutely bored of it. And all these new Twitter accounts are popping up because the in the know, they know the ins and outs of a multi-million-pound takeover, which looks like it's ending up being part of a multi-million-pound court proceedings. How the hell does Barry from Biker know this?
It was a young Chelsea fan I saw today going.
Was he with a Chelsea blood account?
Yeah. Aye.
But the most frustrating thing is that account will gain 4,000, 5,000 followers on that, and it snowballs. It absolutely snowballs, and it's horrendous because I know that we've came under criticism when we've spoke about the takeover before. But what we were doing for the takeover, we weren't misleading fans or anything. I think everything which we were publishing as a channel was in black and white, and we were getting the likes of a lawyer solicitor's perspective on the likes of the test, looking from the Premier League handbook. And that's as far as we went. Of course, we had opinion if we thought it would go ahead or if it wouldn't. But we weren't out there saying, it's happening on Friday. It's happening this day. This fella's made some stotties. He's made a Savoy dip. It's happening. Like,
I couldn't believe the carry on with that bread, man. I have nothing against anyone that wants to still believe and wants to still, try and find out information. But if you're asking me, which the question was, takeover, I thought it was dead and buried when it ended. The last time when Sky, they announced it and said, "Listen, we've pulled out." And I honestly haven't given it a thought since then. I've never checked any bread photos or planes, or I've seen them. Of course, I've seen them kicking around on Twitter. How can you not? But for me, it's done. Like, that's just my opinion.
I personally think that there's probably is things happening behind the scenes. Hence, obviously, Mike Ashley fighting it, taking a cord. But it's something which I'm not even going to get involved in massively. It's not. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not going to waste any more breath on it. To be honest with you, if it happens, it happens, and bloody fantastic, absolutely fantastic for a club as a fan base. Great news as a city. Great news. But right now, nobody knows shit. I don't care who you are. Nobody knows shit.
I think that the whole thing with the court case, I don't for 1 minute believe it's to try and push the takeover through. I think the only reason that Ashley's doing it is because he's out of pocket and he wants to recoup some money. That's the thing that he is interested in, is looking after himself and looking after his bank balance.
And when you say that, so obviously you would have pocketed the deposit that then paid.
17 million pound.
So what's he out of pocket? Is he out of pocket for the actual deal itself? What is he out of pocket on?
£300 million out of pocket, isn't he? He would have walked away with with the majority of that.
So he ain't getting that. So what's he looking for? What I don't know what he's looking for then. Like,
well, obviously, it'll be. I don't know what the outcome would come from it. I honestly don't.
And that's why I think he is. Part of us believes maybe that he is trying because he wants that 309 million. That's why he's doing what he's doing, to try and get it to the stage where it should be accepted. But I don't think that'll happen. That's just how I feel.
I think it's just all about compensation from him. That's why he's pushing it, is to try and get some sort of compensation towards it, whether that be, another 20 million, 50 million, whatever.
That's maybe,
because it's money to happen, isn't it?
Does Callum want all to do shots against Brentford? Is that what he's asking for? Shots.
I think that's the
well,
emojis.
no, mate. On the stream,
sorry,
those are the emojis.
Sorry, apologise.
So Callum Lewis says, "Will you lads be doing a watch along for the quarter-final game against Brentford in 3 weeks' time?" 3 weeks' time.
3 weeks.
It's next week, isn't it?
It's before Christmas, isn't it? I'm sure.
3 weeks' time is Christmas next week.
I will be late for that live watch along, mate.
That's right, isn't it?
3 weeks will be a bit late, I was going to say.
I'm sure it's next week. Yeah, it depends what shifts we're on. You've got to remember, at the end of the day, we'll all work full time. This is just what we do as a hobby. This is what we do just so we can see we're mates and have a big crack with you a lot. If we can do it, I'm sure we will. But
it'll be the 9th.
No promises.
It'll be the 9th of January, won't it?
Next Wednesday.
Is it next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Well, that's
the 23rd.
That's what Sean has just said. It's next Wednesday.
Oh, it is. It is next Wednesday.
I was just looking when the next free weekend was, which was the 9th of Jan. Oh, actually, no, that'll be FA
Arsenal,
won't it? Yeah, FA Cup weekend.
You've got a chance of winning that one as well.
They're desperate at the minute.
Are you sure it's next Wednesday? I can't see it on here.
Maybe you're not just what are you looking on? Are you looking on your calendar or the fixtures?
Oh, actually, I didn't look at that. Yeah.
It'll just be your Premier League fixtures in your calendar, is it? Tuesday. It's next Tuesday, apparently.
Oh, they're Brentford Tuesday. Yes, 22nd. Yeah.
We got there in the end.
I probably could do that. Yeah, 5:30 kickoff's a bit weird, but actually, that's very weird.
Don't know. Team-wise, what sort of team? Which players would you like to see coming into that game?
The best team we've possibly ever got to play has to play.
I agree with that.
Do you think if me and Mark, obviously we recorded a preview for the game on Wednesday before we start recording this one. Is it a concern that Fraser is nowhere to be seen for you two, Besty and Deka?
Massively.
I think it is for me as well. We got asked this last week, didn't we, as well? And I think it is. You kind of at the start of the season, certainly, I know I made allowances because I thought, well, he's not played much at all since COVID in March. So you think, well, maybe he's just taking a bit of time to kind of get fit again. But he's played a few games for Scotland. He's played a few games for us earlier in the season, and he wasn't in the squad, was he? Saturday.
No,
no, mate. So obviously, I think it's been back.
Thereabouts though. So
He came off the
Injuries.
bench in one game and looked absolutely incredible. Really incredible. And we touched on it. He came off the bench and he looked amazing. I think he didn't need chip the keeper, but Wilson scored. Like Wilson was greedy and tapped it in. I think it was going anyway. And I thought, wow, well, this he's just unreal. But then he got injured again, a groin strain or a calf strain or something. And they're not just little strains, they seem to be lasting for months or certainly weeks.
A few weeks, and it seems like when he's just about ready to come back, then he picks something else up in training.
Yeah. Just to touch back on the... Sorry.
Is he picking up all these little niggly injuries because he isn't getting any games, he isn't being able to train for the right length of time to get his body used to the exertion that it's going through from having repeated training sessions and potentially then getting the training matches and stuff like that.
Well, it's also tough because he was Bournemouth, he wasn't playing or training or nothing, was he, for such a long period of time? Because
he played about 3 or 4 games this whole year.
So it's difficult to come back and go, right, he has a full workload, because then you're just going to break down, and that seems to be what's happening. To go back to the question,
a little bit frustrating for you though, Deka, that obviously he went away with the national team and played a few minutes for them.
It's not on. For me, it's not on. If I said the same about Michael Owen all them years ago, for me, if you haven't been playing for your club and you've been on their treatment table, then you shouldn't go and play internationally when you are fit until you've played for us. I totally disagree with that. So
to answer the question, mate, that I've stopped you from doing a couple of times.
No, that's all right. For me, there's no chance we'll go down. We're so safe at the minute. And I know you'll laugh and go, oh, you shouldn't say that. I think we're 11 or 12 points ahead. We've never been this safe ever at this time in recent memory for me. And we're in a quarter-final of a cup competition. We should be going all out here. It's not as if we're sitting like Sheffield United or with 1 point thinking, bloody hell, we need to care about the league. The league's so important. We are fine. We will be fine. And this is quarter-final of the cup against a lower league opposition. I know the championship, but there's still lower league that below us. It's an unbelievable opportunity to make the semi-finals here.
I think we'll probably look at that because I mean we've talked about it before. This is his best opportunity to really make a name for himself at Newcastle, and we all know that he's not held in the best of regards by the supporters. The media keep ramming it down with throat about what a great job he's doing and all of this kind of thing, but he's got a real opportunity that if he can get us past Brentford, getting us further in that cup to write his name in the history books at Newcastle, and that's a massive thing. We had it last season, obviously with City, and then we know what happened there. But
I seen Luke Edwards getting a lot of grief tonight, and I'm not going to go into why, like necessarily what he said, but it was.
That mate, sorry?
Luke Edwards was getting a load of grief tonight because he put on about.
He had a back and forwards. He had a back and forwards argument with Mark Corby, I saw, mate.
Yeah, was it Mark Corby? Was it? Well, I don't think it was just him, but I did see a lot of people not willing to give Bruce any credit for reaching the quarters twice in 2 years. And as fans, we've all asked for is a cup run. Surely getting to the quarters is class as that. It has to. We've been going out in the first round of every cup for years. It feels like. All right, we haven't played the greatest of opposition. I'm not going to argue with that one. But all we've ever said is we'd like to finish mid-table and get a cup run, and then we're getting a cup run, and that's no longer good enough. And I'm like, come on, guy, hell.
So we'll end it on this question night here from Scott Tomlinson once again. Scott, you've had a lot of questions read out tonight, mate, and you're not even a member. What am I playing at? I'm not even answer this one, to be honest.
Next question.
Marty, any questions, Marty? So thoughts on the championship DVD that's out. So we had the invite to attend the premiere on Zoom on Friday night. So a few were tagged along to watch that, and it's great. It's an absolute fantastic watch, and I think right now, because of the fact that we can't go to games, we might be able to go on Saturday, but God knows about that. But because you can't go, it makes that. It just makes it that little bit more special, and remembering that season and just how fantastic a lot of the games, not all of them, but a lot of the games were. And I always go back to this, and I'll move over to you too in a minute. But that last game of the season for me, it just sums that season up, and how emotional it was, how far ahead Brighton were. Then they just started dropping points. Just couldn't win a game for 6 games or something like that in a row. They just couldn't win a game. Then obviously that's when we went on our great run of form, Besty. But your thoughts on the DVD, mate?
I loved it. I It was the James. They had the Q&A afterwards, and James DeMarco, who's one of the two kind of producers. Obviously, we had Zara on the podcast last week, and James said that they wanted to get it out earlier, but the fact that they've got it out now, and you've got that few years of kind of separation from it happening, it's become a different thing. It's become this kind of like a chronicle of what it was. I mean, it's 5 years ago now. Since that, like 4 years ago, since that season. And it was just really got to watching those little things you forget about the games and just how everything. It was points of that season. I remember Ipswich away, which kind of featured there. They got beat 3-0, I think, on Easter Monday. There's a few games where you think, God, we could be in trouble here. It's not going to. It wasn't the kind of procession to the title that the kind of memories made it.
Well, shite. A lot
of the time we weren't very good. But then, like, it's saying stuff like Diarmi's goal at Brighton or Atsu's free kick at Cardiff. Or
that free kick, I completely forgot about that free kick. It was unbelievable.
It just brought it all back. It's a really if you get a chance to buy it or stream it, it's a brilliant. I loved it, and it's kind of, it goes to show that you can wait a long time for a fan-made film to be made, and it can be really worthwhile.
What about you, Mark?
It was just absolutely superb. Like from start to finish, just like you say, the memories that it brings back and invokes in you, like from the some of the just sublime moments that you forget. Like obviously you can't not remember that last game of the season and the whole situation that was happening kind of around it and stuff like that. But there's just different little aspects of it that happen, and then you get the insight, you get to know the characters and stuff like that. And I'll admit there's a couple of times in it where it's proper lump in the throat kind of stuff, and like the emotions are running high because of the way that it's cut and put together. And in just one word, Davey, he's just unreal. He's absolutely brilliant, and him for me just completely summed up what it's like to be a Newcastle fan through all of the highs and lows that you go through, and just to follow that journey through of the season, seeing it through the eyes of other supporters, even though you are living it at the same time and you've got your own memories of it. It's just a fantastic piece of film, and if you haven't seen it, please make the effort to do it, or get it on your Christmas list or whatever it is. I cannot speak highly enough of it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's available on loads of platforms: Amazon, YouTube, Sky Store, Virgin Store. It's available everywhere. You can buy the hard copy in the likes of HMV. I'm sure there'll be more shops in town that are selling it as well. It's great. I think it's a tenner. And it's £10 well spent. It's a nice watch for, was it an hour and a half, which we were watching it for, and it's just nice. It's just, I know. Like Besty, Deka said that there's a lot of time where we were bad in that season, but reliving that season from the outside, knowing how it ends, is better than living it right there and then in that moment, because. There was some highs and lows. It's
funny because there was times in the film where obviously we're watching it, and it's where it then starts to go wrong, and you're like, I think we've blown it here, lads, and we're all like, sitting there, even though we know what's going to happen at the end of it, we're like, how on earth are we going to get ourselves out of this? We've blown it, and then it comes around, and like we do, we all know how it all ends, but it's real life, but it doesn't feel like real life, because it's it's on there in the screen in front of you as a film, as a documentary, and it's fantastic just to relive that memory, because we don't often get to have these happy times.
I'm not sure, Deka, I'm not sure you've seen it yet, have you?
No, I haven't, mate, but it's 100%. I am going to watch it. I'm going to get it on Sky Store, I think, or. If I actually allowed out the house to go to the shop, I'll get it from a shop, but I'll 100% be watching it, definitely.
Yeah. So there has been a few questions sent in the last few minutes there, but we're going to wrap this one up now. We saw yours, Julie, and just let you know, obviously Julie's question is in relation to, it's a Christmas question, but we'll be doing some Christmas specials, as you can see across the bottom of the screen there now. It's something I don't want to give it away yet, but I'm really looking forward to these these Christmas specials, which we're all going to be doing. If you did enjoy the Battle of the Kits videos, I think you'll enjoy these Christmas battles, which we've got planned. And I think it's going to cause lots of arguments. If I know it's going to cause lots of arguments. I know it is.
Me and Mark argue, you never heard of it.
I think it might be all of them, mate, not just you and Mark this time. Just all of you.
I've definitely got my eyes on Besty.
Thanks, Scott. So Scott has just signed up.
It's not.
It is.
So Scott's just signed up. Thanks very much, Scott.
We must have guilted him into pressing that subscribe button.
I know. This is how it works. So yeah, look out for the Christmas specials. There will be early access for the likes of members. Eventually, they'll be coming well, I'm saying eventually. Christmas is next week.
So, we'll get it in February.
You might get them Christmas 2021 if you're not a member. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for liking it. Thanks for all your comments, all your questions. Thanks for all the members that have signed up tonight and all the members that signed up since the very start, since we started doing this. So thanks very much, lads, and we'll call it a night.
Thanks very much, guys. Cheers. Great to see you.
See you later. Cheers.
See you later. Thanks, everybody.